And it looks like another modern-day holy war could be brewing in the Middle East after a deadly New Year's Day suicide bombing of a Christian church in Alexandria, Egypt. Now, the bombing left 21 people dead and 80 others injured. Local police are still trying to find those responsible for the deadly attack. Hours after the bombing, anger erupted among the country's Christian community over the government's failure to protect Christians from years of discrimination and violence. Thousands took to the streets of Cairo and clashed with riot police demanding justice for the bombing. While no one has claimed responsibility for the bombing, this attack comes in the wake of repeated threats by al-Qaeda to attack Christians throughout the Middle East. President Obama condemned the bombing, saying, quote, "The perpetrators of this attack were clearly targeting Christian worshipers and have no respect for human life and dignity." And joining me now with reaction from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies is Cliff May. Cliff, welcome back.
Good to see you, Sean.
All right, as we look at what happened here and you look at the reaction, is it valid in as much as this has been such an ongoing problem?
Yeah, in your intro, you said that holy war is brewing. It's not brewing, it's taking place, and it's been taking place for years. Christians, and by the way, other religious and ethnic minorities, are being not just discriminated against, but being persecuted in Egypt and throughout the broader Middle East. And there were bombings not just in Egypt, although that was the worst one with 21 killed, but we had Christians attacked in recent days in Iraq, of course, and in the Philippines, and in Nigeria, and in Pakistan, and in other places. In fact, I think that the religious and ethnic cleansing of the broader Middle East is probably the biggest story that most journalists are ignoring and most politicians are not talking about.
Well, let me stay on that point, because these attacks have attracted very little media attention. And there's been numerous ones, as you point out, and this has been an ongoing problem. And it seems to me that, you know, would it be a different reaction from the media if this was a mosque?
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine if some Christian terrorist group or some Jewish or Hindu group had burned down a mosque or sent in a suicide bomber and killed 21? Can you imagine? Look, all you have to do is think about the response to the Danish cartoons that depicted in a satirical way Mohammed, or on any of a number of other such slights or insults going on. Recently, you had in Denmark, you had various terrorists who attempted to attack the newspaper that did it all these years after, and they were being indicted for this. So yes, it's a total double standard.
You're both basically saying that there is religious and ethnic cleansing going on in the Muslim world.
I am saying it's going on across the Muslim world, and you can think of the different groups, the persecution of the Baha'i in Iran, the Darfurians, who are black Muslims in the Sudan by the Islamist and Arab government there. Christians have been forced out of Gaza. Christians are under attack terribly by al-Qaeda and affiliated groups, and that's who probably did it here in Egypt. In Iraq, Christian churches are being bombed on a regular basis, I'm afraid. In Pakistan, the Kurds, I was in Kurdistan not that long ago, Iraqi Kurdistan. What they say is that they're very worried that there is this cleansing, that there will be nobody left in the broader Middle East but Muslims, and there will be three dominant ethnic groups, Turks, Persians, and Arabs, and everybody else will be forced out or killed or cleansed.
So we've had in recent days this attack, Iraq, we've had the Philippines, I believe, Nigeria, Pakistan. And then we have a number of Christians that have been given the death penalty for practicing their faith in countries like Iran. And where's worldwide condemnation? Again, we go back to a double standard here.
Total double standard. I mean, you cannot have a Christian church in Saudi Arabia, and even in Egypt, our ally, which gets a lot of foreign aid, and we're increasing it in 2011, the Christians cannot build or even repair their churches without specific government approval. And the Coptic Christians are supposed to be protected in this season. And what we believe to be the case from eyewitnesses is that the government forces, the security forces that were to protect them, left 1 hour before the bombing.
You know, you brought up Saudi Arabia, and you can't build a Christian church there. Looking at this story through the prism of the 9/11 mosque issue, you know, and I said, all right, well, how about building a Christian church in Mecca? And it is almost with disdain and charges of anti-Muslim bigotry that I would dare to make such a statement that there ought to be some reciprocity, that you can't argue on the one hand that we ought to have a ground zero mosque, but not a Christian church or a Jewish temple in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly right, and we're putting no real pressure on these countries, any of them, to begin to show some tolerance and open up their systems. There's something called the Organization of the Islamic Conference. It's the most powerful international organization most people have never heard of. It's based in Saudi Arabia. It has 57 members. Most of them Muslim majority, some of them not even Muslim majority. We have an ambassador to the OIC, and that ambassador is not doing what I think he should be doing, which is putting on pressure to open up. You should be hearing from the OIC right now, as well as from people like me, that this is terrible what's just happened in Egypt. Instead, they're trying to pass at the UN anti-blasphemy laws, in other words, laws that would prohibit people from insulting Islam, and we are not protesting that.
Do you think that we're headed for a modern-day religious war in the Middle East?
The war that is being fought now, the great global conflict in the world, from Iraq to Afghanistan to Gaza, this is one war, and it is a religious war, not because we want it to be, but because al-Qaeda and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and various other radical Islamists and jihadists, they say it's a religious war. That's what a jihad means. And it is they who say they are waging a jihad against the West, against Christians, against Jews, against Hindus. We had the Mumbai attacks. This is all part of one great global conflict. Until we understand that, we can't have a strategy to combat it.
People forget jihad equals holy war. Cliff May?
Exactly so.
Good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Sean.
And it's time, as we